Thank you. That concludes the business of council with the exception of the mayor's report. Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Fensky, and I'm pleased to provide the mayor's report for the period of November 15th through the 28th, 2011. I do apologize for not being there in person, but I am out of the city on work-related matters. It's been a fairly hectic last 2 weeks, and it appears it's going to continue with a fair amount of travel during this period. So I just want to highlight some of the events that we have participated in, and that includes on November 15th, I, along with Councillor Lafreniere, attended, and Councillor Byer was there as well, attended the Thompson Chamber of Commerce Small Business Week kickoff breakfast, where we, along with Replant, provided a presentation on the Thompson Economic Diversification Working Group. It was well received. There were a number of questions, and I appreciate the opportunity from the Chamber to have a chance to explain what we've been able to do in terms of achievements in almost a year to the date since the announcement by Valley last year. Later on that evening, again, we were joined by a number of members of council at the open house that was held for the community. And again, I want to thank the community. It was a very good turnout. And again, a lot of good questions that were fielded both by the City of Thompson and Valley. And again, we are and have made a commitment to ensure that we continue to have those sort of open house opportunities so that people can find the answers to the questions they may have regarding the process. On November the 17th, along with Valley and Replan representatives and Councillor Lafreniere, as well as Mr. Sepatelli, I met with Minister Chomniak in Winnipeg to talk about and provide a presentation on the Thompson Economic Diversification Working Group. And I can tell you that I was very pleased with the results, being that the province of Manitoba has now agreed to have a representative added to that committee. I think that is a significant and positive move by the province of Manitoba and was welcomed by the other stakeholders. In addition to that, I was in receipt of a letter that was sent, or correspondence between the Premier of the province and Valley with respect to both those organizations moving forward in a number of ways, including having that representative from the province now sit on the stakeholder group. Later on in that day, November 17th, while in Winnipeg, I provided greetings as Mayor of the City of Thompson to the Manitoba Mining Convention. I was joined at that event by, again, a number of representatives from our community, and I want to note Councillor Lafreniere, Councillor Byer, and always attending the mining conference, and over the last number of years, and very keen, Councillor Collada, as well as Mr. Sepatelli. I can tell you that I think that although we didn't participate last year, I think that this year's mining conference was probably one of the most positive in terms of an atmosphere and an attitude regarding the mining industry in this province. So I was very pleased to be able to be there. We also had representatives, obviously, from Valley as well as Thompson Unlimited. On November the 18th, again, with a number of members of council that were attending the mining conference, we hosted the Northern Mayors meeting in Winnipeg, and the attendance was tremendous with all major northern urban industrial communities represented at the table. And there was a consensus coming out of that meeting that we would continue to look at an opportunity on an annual or semi-annual basis to have Northern Mayors meet. In addition, we will be forwarding correspondence to the Premier regarding our desire and intention to sit down with Northern MLAs to talk about this term and specifically the Northern Development Strategy. Also, while in Winnipeg, we had a chance to meet with some other organizations, companies, including potential developers in our community, and I certainly appreciated the opportunity to get in a number of those other meetings. On November 21st and 22nd, along with Councillor Collada and Mr. Sepatelli, I traveled to the AMM conference in Brandon, where we met Councillor Byer and Councillor Robinson, who were at the conference, and I will note who stayed for the duration of the conference when Councillor Collada, Mr. Sepatelli, and myself had to return to Thompson for meetings of the Thompson Economic Diversification Working Group that were held on November 23rd with all the stakeholders, and then on November 24th, specifically on a downtown and Yale Newman subdivision session, and November 25th on a housing session. I just want to note that I was pleased to have the representation at AMM this year. Although I think as a city, and I'll look for some comments following the report from some of the other councillors, I think we have to recognize the value of AMM to the city of Thompson isn't necessarily in the specific sessions that take place, but really in the opportunity to network, as well as some of the financial benefits that the city of Thompson receives, and the opportunity to see ministers and have that. And I understand that Councillor Byer, Councillor Robinson did have a chance to meet with some ministers. On November the 24th, we also had the 2014 Manitoba Winter Games Bid Committee meeting, and I can tell you that's progressing well. On November 25th, I just wanted to throw this one out that I had the opportunity. I was invited by the rec department to visit the facilities because one of our own employees, Robert McCumber, was celebrating his 70th birthday, so it was nice to be able to participate in that event. And November the 26th, I think will go down as just a gold letter day in the city of Thompson, in that we had the National Child Day 2011 celebration, and we had the first Christmas parade in the community since, I understand, 1960. And as I told the number of children and the people that were present for the lighting of the Christmas tree, I'm not even old enough to remember the last Christmas parade. So it was just an absolutely great day for Thompson. Everything cooperated in terms of the weather, in terms of, I believe, 30 different floats participated in the parade. And the number of people along the parade route was phenomenal. When I looked into the crowd, I only saw smiling faces. It was a great way to kick off the festive season. And I really want to acknowledge all the volunteers in terms of the National Child Day celebration as well, and those sponsoring organizations. And I've got to make special mention of Thompson Unlimited, specifically Betty Landaco and Roxy Binns, for the work they did on organizing the parade. And again, it was just a great day. In terms of some of the upcoming events, I'll note that December the 1st, we have the public utility hearing that is going to be taking place at City Hall, and I understand at 7 o'clock, Mr. Sepatelli, is that correct?
Yes.
And encourage the public to come out, and I encourage them to review the submission that the city has put forward. As we always spoke to, the utility was put into place so that the city of Thompson would be able to move forward with a replacement infrastructure program, and that component of the utility is extremely important. And I notice that since the weather already turned a little cold, we're seeing the water breaks appear, so we need to address that. And I encourage people to read our submission and certainly to attend the utility hearing and get involved in the process. As I said, I've been out of the community a fair bit, so I'm going to open it up to any other comments that members of council may have in terms of events they've attended or comments that they wish to make. So that is my mayor's report for the period.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Byer?
I think if there's going to be two things that would mark 2011 for me in Thompson, it would be the two things that coincidentally Betty Landago and Roxy Binns were heavily involved in, and that's the whole Communities in Bloom downtown that we heard about earlier, and then the parade. I think the parade was just fantastic. So in my Christmas card writings, I think those will be the two things that for sure get highlighted. I just want to say it was my first AMM meeting that I went to, and I'm sure Councillor Robinson will have his own comments to make. Just a couple of comments about that is, for the general forms, the resolutions and everything, there's a very strong representation from the southern municipalities, and it's very difficult at those to get your message across and get your voice heard. And I want to commend Councillor Robinson for standing up and speaking. But I think the real value of AMM was, as Mayor Johnson pointed out, getting to meet with the ministers, talking to them one-on-one, having the opportunity to talk about issues that are important to us, and then also some of the workshops that they held. There was some valuable information in them, and also they do have a very interesting trade show, I must say, with a lot of exhibitors that provide services and goods that can help us in some of the things that we're already discussing moving forward with. So I think it was overall a good experience. I'm not convinced I would go for the whole 4 days next time, but it was a good experience. And I would like to see councillors rotate through this for that reason.
Any other questions, comments? Councillor Robinson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Finsky. I'd like to elaborate on what Mayor Johnson was saying about the AMM. It is I feel fortunate I was able to go this year and spend the 4 days. It was a very resourceful time. We got to meet new people. We got to speak with ministers and speak with the Premier. We got to ask questions, concerns from other communities that relate to ours. And I was actually fortunate enough to also speak on behalf of Leaf Rapids on some of their resolutions because they had to leave for a funeral. And we got to listen to very motivational speakers. I personally got to learn a lot of new things about how to deal with issues. And at the same time, we got to meet suppliers that we don't necessarily have in the north here that are just readily available in the south. So I feel fortunate also that I will be able to bring something back to council which will help us in our budgetary process, and at the same time some new ideas that we're able to collect there and bring back to us here. Thank you.
Thank you. I represented the city at two health-related events this past week. On November 23rd, I attended the Burntwood Regional Health Authority AGM. The keynote speaker was the head of cancer care in Manitoba, Dr. Dhaliwal. We did have a question period, and he advises that we won't have radiation in the city of Thompson in the foreseeable future. I think that's something that we should be making a case for. On November 26th, I attended the Moving Forward After Cancer event. It was an informational day for cancer survivors and supporters. 4 facilitators were here from Cancer Care Manitoba, and Dr. Sisler was the keynote speaker at that event. And I guess thanks to Italia Hickey for her efforts in bringing that event to Thompson.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Frenier?
Just to, in addition to what's already been said, the City of Thompson hosted the Aboriginal Accord meeting in partnership with the Thompson Urban Aboriginal Strategy to start with our planning process for the upcoming year, and to invite our stakeholders back to the table to also talk about a moving forward plan. So I think previously our partners submitted 3 goals and 3 challenges, and we also did the same. So we'll be reviewing that report and talking about how we can support each other, or looking for common themes and moving forward more specifically, I guess I should say. And I am the city rep to the Thompson Aboriginal Education Advisory Council with the School District of Mystery Lake, and I have attended meetings and one just today. And I think there's an exciting agenda, but I don't want to speak on that meeting because they haven't even updated their trustees yet. So but I did attend, and it was a very good meeting. But the purpose of that committee, so people do understand, is people who to improve Aboriginal education within the school district. And it was a committee that was, I believe, very strong about 15 years ago, and they've revived it, and it's really a resource to the trustees and the staff and the students in Aboriginal perspectives and cultural proficiency and some other areas as well. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? That concludes the business of council, and look for a motion to adjourn.